Welcome to this week's episode of More Tech. I'm your host, Michael Amargon. We were supposed to have Chris was supposed to be on for this episode. However, he's having some technical difficulties, I guess you could say. Uh, so we're hoping he'll be able to join us shortly. Now, that being said, we had an event. Well, not we, but Apple. Apple had an event yesterday where they were going over some of their new hardware, and their hardware being the some new watches, some iPhones, and unfortunately for a lot of people, a lot of stuff was missing. Um, I know Vaquel, in particular, was quite upset with some of the stuff that they actually did not announce. And so, before we actually get into it, I want to go over really quickly what all was pretty much planned. Well, what a lot of people thought were actually going to make this event. And I'm going to start with that, reason being because surprisingly, a lot of the rumors that were going about actually came to fruition. Like, they actually came out. So it was interesting to see that all of this happened, and then some of the stuff that they were actually talking about and the other rumors just didn't quite make it. And then there were some faces that we just never saw that are almost at every Apple event. I'm looking at you, Craig. But we had the iPad Pro. There were some people that were thinking that there was going to be an updated iPad Pro model that adopted the iPhone 10 style design with slimmer bezels, no home button, especially with the designs that people found built inside of the iPhones that came out. They were expecting to see the iPad version of those, and also including, the iPad Pro also gaining a true depth camera, which, I'll be quite honest, I honestly hate tablet cameras. They have you ever gone to a concert or a meeting or anything like that where someone's recording and they are holding up their tablet like this and trying to like record the meeting or something like that? It's taking up more than their face, for starters. They are blocking someone's view more than likely, and forgive me for saying, but you just look dumb. Because dumb in the aspect because you're holding up this big gargantuan thing and recording. But not only that, the cameras in these things are typically not the best. Like, they don't really compare to smartphone cameras at all for the most part. If you can prove me wrong with that, please feel free to do so and let me know inside the comments. But so while we were expecting the iPad Pro to have some new designs, people were also hoping for the Mac Mini. They were saying for a refreshed version of that focused on pro users, where upgraded devices will include new storage, processor options, and also probably more expensive than previous Mac Mini products. They were also hoping for a low-cost MacBook Air device. That unfortunately also didn't come around. They were hoping in that aspect something that's a little bit more defined, since it seems that Apple's a little bit unclear on whether they want the MacBook Air family or the 12-inch MacBook family to become the de facto. They were saying some concrete details about the upcoming notebook can be gleaned over everything we've heard. However, positioned as an entry-level, low-cost machine in Apple's product lineup, the MacBook Air would be 13 inches in size and feature a Retina display. It's said to be a similar design with some bezels. That's what people were saying. That's what they were hoping. Didn't happen. At least, not yet. Then there was the revamped version of the 12-inch MacBook that, people were again hoping would have been a thing. Probably not, at least not for this keynote. There were the revised versions of the iMacs, and then the very weirdly scrubbing of the AirPower. Now, AirPower was their way of wirelessly charging your AirPods, your iPhone, your whatever it is, and doing it wirelessly so you don't have to always keep plugging it in. This was supposed to come out late this year. All mention of it, except for one place, has been removed from Apple's website. The place where it's currently at is it's the AirPods page where, quote, an optional wireless AirPod charging case listed as currently unavailable. And it's been removed from everywhere else. I'm not sure why that's happening, considering that there was a big to-do about, wireless charging and them finally doing it. I'm wondering if they've run into the issue with the iPhone getting too hot while it's wirelessly charging, which has been a thing that's been known to happen when you're doing wireless charging, no matter pretty much what, how should I put it, which standard you're using. There's two real standards. There's Qi, and then there's PowerMat standard and whatnot. So both of them, unfortunately, do generate heat, especially since, it's passing through the air and generating it wirelessly. So that's not really the best thing right there. But, I mean, they seem to be going for it, and I'm not sure why they have now all of a sudden stopped. So that covers what has not been there. This has led people to believe that we're probably going to have another Apple event in October, if not October, then November, to announce some of these other hardware products that they did not touch on as of, yesterday. Yesterday being September 11th, 2018, for those who are listening in as a past episode. Now, that being said, there's a lot that they did do, and let's touch on those. For starters, they started off with an interesting intro to the event. That being Apple's AirPods 2 being shown inside the runner's ears with Siri support. It's almost like a teaser in a sense. And it's a little surprising that they didn't touch on it further. So a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with that. That may be coming with, it may not actually be mentioned as part of a event. It just may be something that just shows up, they give an announcement, and you move on forward. Or it just may be something that they do a video for, especially with their little marketing ploys that they like to do when it comes to those videos. Yeah, see, welcome to the show, Dwan. Dwan is saying that, yeah, she agrees that she thinks that they're saving it for a later event. Now, I'm personally hoping that they bring out all the things that I mentioned that they actually did not touch on, plus the AirPods, and they actually make those announcements. There were too many things that came out yesterday, spot on with rumors, for it to be like, these are not things that are going to happen. At least it would seem really, really odd if that was the case. Now, what were some of the things? Well, for starters, the naming was almost completely spot on. There was the iPhone the iPhone XS, and for those that like to call the iPhone X, you're probably going to get tongue-tied by calling it the iPhone XS. That's the XS. Wow. That, like, it's an excess of iPhone. That could work. That could work. Then they came out with, instead of the 10 Plus, they came out with the 10S Max, which they say is actually slightly bigger than the the iPhone 8 Plus in their previous versions of the Plus lineup. So that's why they're calling it the Max. My idea behind it is that there's a lot of other companies going with this plus naming, and they want to differentiate themselves again. Then again, there are other companies as well who go by the like having a Max device, so it's not entirely unique to them. So if that was their ploy, they may want to relook at that for the next one. And then the 10R, which there were some sexy models in that. It's essentially the iPhone 10 meets the iPhone 5C, and like both of them just had sex and produced some fairly nice looking designs, some not so nice. So, for example, one of the colors that they came out with was a really nice blue, and then another color that they came out with was a really dingy looking yellow, which kind of reminded me of like a 5C yellow, like a year after it's been inside someone's jeans pocket, and it just like started to fade in color and like get dingy, and wasn't nice. I actually expected better from Apple with that. Now, as to what's actually changed in these devices, for the most part, I'll lay this out. The iPhone 10, the S Max, and the R are all pretty much running the same hardware, at least so they're saying, with exception to one key thing. The 10R is running with a liquid LCD display. They're not running with LED, which is coming from Samsung. They're saying it's the best version of LCD that's out there, most vibrant colors, the best blacks, so on and so forth, which is the entire reasoning behind them even going forward with LED. And that was Chris letting me know that the reason why, okay, just for transparency's sake, he was having some problems with his webcam earlier on before the show, and he decided to restart. Windows 10 had different plans for him. It threw him into a getting Windows ready update, where he's been sitting at it for like the past 20 minutes now, telling him not to turn off his computer, and it's not giving him any percentage as to why he should turn off his computer. Just turn it off. Hard button. Reset. I hate to say that, but sometimes that is the only way that you can actually get past that kind of thing, which sucks. But yeah, getting back into it, that was pretty much the only real change between the hardware, between the devices. Yeah, I threw Chris under the bus. It's his computer. It's not really him, but yeah, that sucks for him. Oh yeah, and Vicky's not on for this episode. She's actually on vacation right now, so she should be back. Don't worry, we haven't gotten rid of her. Next week. She should be back next week. Hopefully. Now, what they were saying though, and what we typically find with the lesser versions of the iPhones, is that the hardware isn't necessarily as great. And that might be the case. They didn't get too in depth with the differences, but there were enough for us to actually know that, you know, the R is on the cheaper side of things, the more affordable side of things, and that's one of the things that we're kind of going for with this event, to try and show off that they have devices essentially for everybody. Devices ranging from $400 and something to $1,100 and something. So yeah, if you want that premium device like the 10s Max, be prepared to spend that extra amount of money. The model numbers again are like the 64, the 128, and the 256. So you're not really finding anything that's going to fight the Note 9's 512 internal storage. Well, at least not right here and now. Um, so how do you really pick between them? Well, for the most part, if you're looking for size, they kind of go in size of that. Max obviously is the biggest size that you're gonna get, followed by the 10, followed by the 10X, the 10R, and the 10S. Dwan's saying that she's glad that they're keeping in mind their customers, or at least trying, but it doesn't seem like there was much changes to warrant the cost. And I completely agree. The only real changes that we found with among all three of the devices for the most part was they said that they improved Face ID, which so it has better accuracy and faster unlocking. At which point I am honestly a little wary with that, because with the last version of Face ID, they quite literally had to dumb down Face ID for it to unlock faster. Meaning that it wasn't checking for as many points as they initially said it would, just so, people don't wait as long. Plus the whole glasses thing. So I'm curious as to where this accuracy is coming from and where this speed is coming from, and if they are actually tied together. Like, do you need one for the other, or is it you have to turn one off? Then there was the A12 chip, which is their CPU/GPU processor chip. They mentioned this a lot, more than they probably should have. Essentially, what really warrants it is that they bumped up the cores in it, and they bumped up the cores in the neural processor. The neural processor being the important part, because, well, how should I put this? Apparently that's what they use to unlock the phone, for starters, using Face ID. That's how they use it to group people's photos together inside the Photos app. And for a lot of other Apple stuff that they use it for machine learning. Now, what they did do this time was they opened that same machine learning up to third-party developers, which is a neat little thing to do, especially when you want people to actually start building up. And that's the thing that really concerned me, because when you come to using that kind of system, what all are you going to really use it for? Sure, they gave an example. Thank you for hosting, Tally. They gave an example of it where someone used the neural processor engine to essentially use the camera to help build out learning how someone shoots their basketball shots, and learning from that to then say, okay, well, this is the height that they jumped at, this is when they released, this is the position, like, so it gives them raw data about how they're shooting, and so they can learn on how to, when is their best shot, essentially. And that stuff is neat, but it's also very niche, and that's my real concern with it. There are only a few ways that you can really use something like this in today's current market, and most of those have to do with using the camera. Now, while that's all good and dandy and everything like that, then what really happens when, well, let me put it like this. The world is coming to a place where neural engines and machine learning is coming to the forefront. Apple is trying, from what it seems like, their best to enable it, which is a good thing. But at the same point in time, when is it really going to take off? And if it doesn't take off properly, that could actually lead to a backlash, and that's what I'm really concerned about. Because then it just becomes some forgotten feature on the iPhone. And that's not what you really want. Like, I know if I was Apple, that's not what I'd want. So, yeah, there's that. Next up was another thing that they took off from the 10R, which is probably one of the reasons why the price for the 10R is much cheaper than the 10S and the 10S Max, is there's no 3D touch anymore. at least with that device. It's now haptic. Haptic, as Chris would have said. He's apparently on the way of getting online, so you may see him shortly. But yeah, they pretty much went haptic happy, and essentially it's very similar to what the idea behind 3D Touch was, except that you have to press harder onto the screen, and so it uses that as a way to decide that, hey, you want to get more information from this. Ideally, this wasn't what was supposed to happen. Like, 3D Touch was supposed to be the way forward, and that's kind of surprising that Apple's going backwards on their words with this. And I'm surprised people are actually not really complaining about this. Like, it seems like it's... I made a joke during the event with some friends. And the joke essentially was, you know, Apple, hey, haptic touch is better than 3D touch. Let's use this going forward, yay! And then the Apple fans are like, but was it? Yeah, you know what? Never mind. Yeah, Apple, you're right. This is awesome. So I'm a little surprised, a little sad, and a little disappointed, to be quite honest with that. Dawn saying that she didn't like that they took away 3D touch. She feels like it was unnecessary and it feels like they went backwards. Oh, she's agreeing. Jones Williams is saying, wow. Dawn saying that people just accept what Apple does sometimes. They have their fan base completely brainwashed. LOL. By the way, thank you for following Jones. Well, no, well, you liked the video. I shouldn't say follow, but yes, thank you for liking the video. That said, and I'm not sure where Chris is. Let's see. Let me ring him. But yeah, I hope they change their way with this going forward, and it's not where they start like taking away features just to make affordable devices. I mean, sure, it's great that you're making an affordable device, but at the same point, at what cost? Like, you're literally dumbing down your experience just to try and make a market. And that's not really a good thing. Not really, not at all, actually. I'm trying to find their prices. I need to probably go to apple.com/iPhones. iPhone, sorry. And I want to just double check on these prices. Compare the model that's right for me. Woohoo! Where's these prices? Okay, so I was wrong. The 10s and the 10s Max do have 512 gigs. They got rid of the 128 gig version of that, but the 128 gig version is there for the 10R, and the 512 is not. So there is that. As for everything else, yeah, it's pretty much the same device. The resolution's not as great, as so the same thing is happening with the contrast, but that's because it's LCD instead of LED. I mean, everything else is pretty much the same. Let's see, weight. The 10s is the lightest one. The 10R only has one camera though, and that's a 12 megapixel camera. The others have dual 12 megapixel cameras. Both of them also have, well, all of them have dual image all of them have optical image stabilization, and it seems that they took out some of the digital zoom, so the 10R only has 5 times, whereas the 10s and 10s Max have 10 times the digital zoom. And Chris is here now, so let's switch this back and get this going. One moment, everyone. Just trying to get him on screen really quickly. That's not really what I wanted to do. Filter. Okay. So now we're back. Chris is here. I was letting them know. By the way, welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks.
I was just letting them know my disappointments with some of the stuff that had happened, including some of the stuff that they didn't announce, the AirPods 2 snippet, the rumors about the, well, this wasn't a negative thing, but the rumors of the actual naming being correct, the curiosities I have about their improved Face ID. And we were talking just recently about them taking away the 3D touch and switching it out with haptic touch on the 10R, and the surprise and non-surprise of people just accepting it.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, we expect them to just accept whatever, so.
Yeah. Now they were saying that this also shows that why they allowed for the trackpad feature for devices without 3D touch for iOS 12, and that was in part of the like the notes and stuff like that. So now it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for the most part, feature-wise, the 10s, the 10s Max, and the 10R are roughly the same device. So it's a little surprising when you take a look overall about it. Just a few things are missing here and there, like the 10R only having one camera in the back instead of two, the LCD display instead of the LED, the haptic instead of the 3D touch, so on and so forth. Though, I mean, they could say that they brought in more colors. Like, we've got blue, white, black, yellow, which is ugly, coral, and red, which they call product red. So that's the official product red that they're going to be coming out with it.
Yeah. Woohoo, colors. Big whoop.
You know, now that I'm actually thinking about it, though, like, is this going
normal phone companies naturally just put out their phone in like a bunch of different colors. Samsung does it. Thingham's doing it. OnePlus is doing it. I mean, these top key competitors, I mean, they're all doing it. You know, Huawei's do it. Like, all these people do it. And then Apple won't be like, hey, guess what? This is a whole different phone. That's cheap. way to milk your base, man. What those?
like,
but then again, it is the cheapest one, right? Out of all of them, right?
yeah, I'm trying to find the pricing for it right now, but the thing that has me curious right now is the product red. Like, the iPhone 10R has red, and its product red is not making me wonder. So they're already saying that this one is the product red device. What's gonna happen with the 10s and the 10s Max? Are those not gonna have product red versions? Like, I'm a little confused right now. Oh, okay. So what it seems like, they're the cheapest phone. I need to make a correction to myself earlier. I said the cheapest device you're going to get from them is the around 400 and something dollars. That was the Apple Watch at 400 and something dollars. The cheapest iPhone you're going to get is about $740, and that's at 64 gigs. So there's that going for you. Like, yeah. The iPhone 7, though, is also $449. The iPhone 8 is $599. and apparently they're just stopping the old 10, and they're just switching to 10s, 10s Max, and the 10R. The 10s is from 749. The same is for the Max is 999, and sorry, 1099, and the R is actually not cheaper. It's $999.
What?
Oh wait. No, I read
You
that wrong.
serious?
I read that wrong.
I was about to say.
I'm
I
sorry,
was so
folks. I read
confused
that
just
wrong.
now.
I read that
I
wrong.
was like, what?
The R is 749. The S is 999. Like, okay, that's my fault, folks.
Yes. Because I was like, the R is definitely the cheapest one. Because I remember that. That's the only reason why I was like, okay, I guess it's fine that it came with like a whole new line to be their colors, because that would be their like economy, I guess, level line. Like, I mean, that's sad. If you're trying to raise your economy to like that high, that's a steep price. But
But that pricing's already high though. Like when you really think about
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I know that's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's very high. So for that to be like your economy, like, oh yeah, you want to be an average person, you need to be dropping $750 on a phone. But you know, people who still to this day is be like, they ain't spending more than $200 on a phone. I know people to this day who say that.
it.
And
Chris, I know people who don't even look for more than $50. I mean, they aren't expecting anything great, but like they're looking for a phone for like 50, like around less than $100.
Apple just trying to recruit elitists anyway, so it'll be fun.
That's what it seems like. And even like the big media, like TV stations, like the news outlets are saying like it seems like they're trying to go back to their roots in like the high priced premium device.
But only 14 people had their phone. Yeah.
Roughly. I mean, when you really think about it as well, that's kind of what led a certain narrative of a generation. Like, because Starbucks kind of got a boost from that because iPhone users liked Starbucks. And so they kind of became synonymous with iPhones and Apple and like premium and stuff like that. And so that kind of took off from there. And so I can see where trying to get back that leverage of saying we are top tier comes for Apple. I mean, they've kind of been pushing it for years now, but like now they're
But
really
do you know what
pushing
the
it.
difference is between now and then?
There weren't as many Android devices.
There weren't as many Apple iPhone competitors. There are a lot now. A lot. It's a very, very competitive market. So I mean, to think that we're like, oh hey, you know, you can't really make yourself exclusive anymore. Because if they can buy your phone and you try to increase your price, your competitors can increase their price to match. And so, however, whatever kind of more premium device you feel like you're getting, they can do the same. And so, I mean, I don't know where they try to go. They tried to do it already when they jump up to $1,000 and it ain't work. So now they want to try to creep up again. Yeah. Anyways, the OnePlus 6T is coming out very soon.
Without the headphone jack.
So that's fine. Fine.
That's fine.
No one else have it. Where am I gonna go? No one else have it, and I do not like Samsung software, so I'm not touching Samsung. So where am I? Where I going?
I mean, Samsung's doing pretty good with
It
their.
don't matter what I get. I ain't gonna have it.
I mean, you may want to start taking a look at Samsung again, like the Note 9.
No. I looking at them Chinese phones. The Oppo, the Fine 10 or Fine X.
Stop trying to throw shade at Apple.
No, that's all Oppo. That's what they named the
it's the X. For them, it's the X.
Okay.
Apparently
Back to Apple. See, make it full circle. Back to Apple. There we go.
Wow. Apparently, though, one of the things that they also fixed with this new version of the phones is a issue that they had with a quote-unquote nasty bokeh effect with depth control. And, you know, it kind of surprised me that they made such a big thing about depth control. like they were the only ones to ever have it, and that's not true. There have been numerous Android devices that have had bokeh depth control before. Um, I mean, that was part of the S9 and like the Note 9 and I think the S8. So they're roughly 2 years behind the competition on that one.
Wow.
Um, but I mean, they fixed it and they added it, so I guess that's a good thing for those who have iPhones. Um, and supposedly a improved camera system. Now, I will admit, they yet again brought out some really good examples of pictures that they can take with these phones, touting that it's again the world's most popular uh, smartphone camera. They didn't say the best. They didn't say, actually no, they said it's the world's most popular camera, period. Just like they said it's the world's most popular phone, period.
Yeah, because I can't say best. Poor Apple. Oh, poor.
Though I was surprised, but also not surprised that their user satisfactory rating is at 98% when it comes to their iPhones. As someone who works in that industry, I'm a little wary about that mark, like that 98%. Because I know that's slightly skewed. There's a lot of people who love their iPhones, but maybe they're forgetting some of the experiences that they had on them. Might just be me. But overall, what was your take on the iPhones, Chris, that they brought out this year?
I mean, yay, new iPhones with a minor spec bump just to keep it in line with everything else. I mean, I like this. Their processor, I would say their processor did. I did like the improvements they made to their processor. I will not lie. But I always like the improvements they make to their processor. Like their processor is probably one of the things that I think they're still doing very well with. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all need to pat those guys on the back because that department is doing y'all good. Because their processors, every time I just be like, oh, okay, dumb name, but oh, this is nice. Like this is nice. I like how this processor runs. Okay, yeah, I see what y'all doing. So I could get them for that. I really when I heard about the processor and I was hearing them talk about it, I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad. It's not as impressive as other years, but it's still impressive. In its on its own. So
I mean, it's impressive, but when they're just talking about 30% like bump and speed and stuff like that, if you keep giving like percentages like that, you really have to start taking a look at like diminishing returns in a sense. So, for example, let's use 1 second. You have 30% faster than so it's now 30% faster than 1 second, which was the original model. 30% faster than that, 30% faster than that, 30% faster than that. At some point, you're going to like 0.001% of a change. Like, and they can still
30.
say it's a 30% increase, but it's like 0.00% faster, like seconds faster. It's negligible. It's not really that great. And so like that's the thing that gets me with them keep going for this. Like there's only so much that you can really go by. And I will admit for me it became annoying with how much they kept talking and throwing, hey, our A12 bionic
Haptic touch, haptic touch, haptic touch, haptic touch, haptic touch.
Didn't I tell y'all he would say that?
Haptic touch.
I told y'all he would say it, right?
That was so annoying, buddy. I hated that guy, buddy. I hated him so much. Like, they almost caused me hate haptic touch, and I'm like, nah, that's actually pretty cool technology. I hate this guy, buddy. Oh my god.
But I mean,
he talking about the camera haptic touch. Buddy, we talking about the camera, camera dog. The camera. How you put haptic touch into a conversation about the camera? How? Boy, he squeezed that everywhere he gotta find to squeeze that. Oh my goodness. I was so tired of hearing this way talk. I was like, stop. Oh man. This Opal Find X is weird.
Hmm. I think some of the best. Nah, I can't even say that. Like, okay,
This sliding up thing is weird.
what sliding up thing?
On the X.
Oh, yeah. They were going for WebOS with that, so that's kind of taking it from BlackBerry 10 as well, because WebOS took, and then BlackBerry took that and created BlackBerry 10, and so Apple's doing their version of it as well now. So it's just like a complete circle right now at this point. But they did talk about another device at the show before they actually talked about iPhones, and it was the Apple Watch. And I will admit there were some pretty neat things in the Apple Watch.
You mean the Apple Watch are now exposing cheaters since 2018?
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Listen, there's riddling off all these like amazing. It's like, oh man, we so concerned with y'all health. We can make sure that y'all are still on top of y'all health. So what we did is we upgraded the heart monitor, so now it can detect if your blood pressure gets too low, like something probably clearly wrong, so it could like alert whatever to let people know. It could know the changes, and like if your blood pressure got too high, then it can know like the change in rhythm of your blood pressure. And I was like, hold on, change in rhythm. And all you have to do is just log in and connect it to your account. All kind of people could be getting cheating from the same Apple Watch. Wow. Wow.
I'm honestly waiting for like the news coverage to start up and like cheater found because of Apple Watch.
Trust me. Ooh, cheaters can be hot.
But I mean, they are really doing some really nice stuff with it though. Like,
yeah, they are.
The fact that you can actually that using the watch, it can.
I don't agree.
Oh come on, let's take a look at it. They're building it in so that sure, if something's happening with your heart, it could alert someone, and this is perfect for the elderly. It could alert someone who maybe has their phone. So
just get them a life alert. They can't use that.
But life alert doesn't do heart stuff. It's if you fall down. Oops, I fell down and I can't get up.
Trust me, if heart stuff, they gonna fall.
Wow, Chris. Really? Wow, Chris. That is bad, man. Wow, dude.
It's factual. It's factual. It is factual.
What if they're sitting down and they're having a heart attack?
They fall out the chair.
What if they're leaning back in the chair?
Okay, you have a point there.
What if they're laying down?
Well, I guess you have a point there.
Point is, it's good to have, but if you cheat, or if you're planning on cheating, probably skip this one.
Nah, that's fine. You can wear your watch. We lie.
But I mean, my example, let's say you have a grandma or grandparent or whatever it is, an elderly loved one. You have an iPhone, get them an Apple Watch, sync it to it. If you don't necessarily need to sync an Apple Watch to your device, this is a good way so it gets you alerts almost before it even does anything else. And
it sounds so creepy. Like when I think about it, like you buy someone an Apple Watch, but before you give it to them, you sync it to your iPhone, so you could know all the stuff with this watch, and then you give it to the person, and then like a gift. Oh, here you go. And now you have all this person body data.
But at the same time, they would get all your notifications.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, so you rather get
this is an example.
Elderly person have all my notifications? Nah. That's a definite no. This ain't happening. Nah. You completely lost me there. Nope. This is a terrible idea.
Okay, fine. That idea doesn't work for you. How about an Apple Watch that'll instantaneously message your device and message their emergency contacts?
What am I buying an Apple Watch for?
It will.
It will what?
It will send a
It will
message
what?
to your emergency contact
No,
that a
it
person.
won't.
Yes,
Listen
it
to me,
will.
why? One, I wouldn't have it on. Two, if I did have it on, it wouldn't work with any of my devices. Nor would it probably be on and have any type of cell data to actually help me.
Because we're in the Bahamas.
So guess who wouldn't be wearing that watch? This guy. Oh man, Apple Watch. No.
But what if you're? If you're in the States, it's a pretty good thing. Plus, it also has something that's interesting, like Chris actually alluded
That's
to a little bit
debatable.
earlier, is it actually has fall detection inside on it. So if you fell down and you don't have life alert, you can now like automatically send a text message to someone like if you
So
don't get up.
clumsy people could just be like triggering this thing all the time. Wait, that's a terrible idea.
That has something on the
Like, there are
watch
a
to
lot of
say like
clumsy people.
you are fine.
Like there's some like seriously clumsy people, and they know that they're clumsy, and they like warn you and tell you, "Listen, I'm a very clumsy person," because they know that when they're around, stuff is break,
Okay, but fine. So for
and
people
they
like
end
that,
up on the floor. So this thing could be going off, whatever they could do, all the time.
they have a certain period of time that they can actually press on it to stop it from sending off the message, though.
Then why would you trust this thing? Turn it off, never turn it back on. Boom.
Why would they do that though? Like
Because it's annoying. Because you're clumsy, and every time you fall in this thing going off, why would I ever turn this back on? Nope. Because I'm a clumsy person. I turned it off in the first place because it was annoying. Why would I turn it back on?
okay, fine, fine. It now comes with a larger screen size, so the 40 and 42 millimeter screen sizes. So that's nice.
Yeah, so you can burn out your eyes faster.
Oh my god, really, Chris?
Blue lights?
Wow, dude.
Oh man.
But don't worry, if you have
back to that one episode that was with the blue light.
I think that was episode 42 or 43 of MOAR.
Yep. Yep. Apple trying to burn out your eyes. Listen to that episode. So stay woke, y'all. Stay woke.
But what is nice is that you could actually swap out the bands that from any of the previous generations. They all fit on the new Series 4 watches. And it doesn't seem like there are any more of the Apple Edition watches.
That's like low lying fruit. Like if a person have a band now, they can have it now. I mean, they don't need this new watch to get that band.
Yeah,
low lying fruit. Low lying fruit. No,
Yeah.
that's. You kick it on the side. That ain't even a point.
Wow. Okay.
That's just a fact of life.
But I mean, it's still nice to have, don't you think?
They have it now. They have the band now.
So they can keep using it now.
Oh, they can keep using it anyway. That's what I say. Even if they don't get the watch, it's still there. They don't lose nothing. They don't gain nothing either. Actually, they lose a band because they have to throw away that band in order to put on the new one.
No, they lose they lose money as well because then they have to get the new watch.
Well, I mean, at least they had a new watch, but they have the same band. The band is what they need, and the band is what they enjoy. So yeah, that push on the side. Anyway.
Chris, I don't know who like upset you today so much.
Don't upset me. Don't upset me. I'm in a great mood. I've been laughing and smiling this whole time. I'm in a great mood.
Oh my gosh. Okay, one of the things that I really liked about it though was the new ECG detection on it. So you place your finger on the digital crown for 30 seconds and it actually reads the heart, much like an EKG in a sense. And from there you can then print out how your heart has been acting and actually like give it to your doctor so they actually have that information on hand so they can see, let's say you have heart palpitations or something like that. You can actually use this, record it while it's happening, and so they can use that information to then help you with your heart when you actually get to the hospital, especially if it's in a situation where your heart's already calmed down.
There's some Batman stuff, y'all. Like this Batman level stuff right here. Like they could be using like the vibration. Remember, like in Dark Knight, what he do? Y'all could be beacons for that. That's what y'all could be. Your Apple Watches walking around. Just walking beacons for some Batman level. Do you think? There's no way. There's no way Tim Cook's Batman.
Maybe he is.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
Maybe he is.
There's no way. There's no way. I'd be so disappointed. I take all of that back. I'd be so disappointed. Y'all ain't like Batman. I take that back.
But I mean, that would have been a positive thing that you're saying, because essentially they're good with their tech and stuff like that. That would be a compliment.
I take that all back. All of it. Gone. With the win.
Wow. Well, I mean, much like beacons.
Let's look at this Opal 10.
Oh, Lord. Chris is losing focus. Another nice thing that they actually did is they bumped up the water and dust resistance on it a little bit. From IP67 to IP68, which is following in suit with some of the other high-end devices, so that you can actually submerge it into water for a little bit longer, 2 meters up for 30 minutes instead of 1 meter or something like that. Which is roughly 1 meter is roughly 3.5 feet, so you can submerge it into like 7 feet now. They again suggest, like, they've tested it in chlorine water, salt water, beer, apple juice, orange juice, stuff like that. Sure, if it gets submerged, it's submerged, but don't leave it in there. Wash it off, shake it, let it dry. They quite literally say that during it. Please do not go swimming with your phone in your pocket. Please. Like, I have nightmares of seeing phones like that. Moving on. We also found out that they have a new Apple Care Plus option that covers theft and loss. And it costs $100 more. And I mean, we were joking about this one as well. It's like, oh yeah, so my friend wants a new iPhone. So here you go. $100 for a new iPhone, please. And you move on from there. So it's a 2-for-1 kind of deal. Do it once every year. And, you know, you should be fine. I do wonder how that's really going to work out, though. Like, I wonder if there's some clauses in there to prevent, like, an abuse of this.
All they want to do is collect all these iPhones, use the parts to make new iPhones, and then sell the new iPhones to people. Listen, that's free material. Free material. Free material they gain it back. Literally free material. Literally, they're saying, hey, give us your stuff, and we, for free, and then we can charge you later with a new iPhone. Oh, and remember these new iPhones coming out at what the price is?
The cheapest
$749. Nice. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, Apple is literally like, y'all can literally feed us into oblivion. Like, we can get nothing else. That's just an amazing chain. That's an amazing chain to have.
I do wonder how many people are going to do it like that. Because wasn't there a point in time where Apple actually used to pay you back? Like, for recycling your stuff?
They ain't doing it this time. If they did it before, it ain't happening now.
Yeah, that's a little
sad.
So... Oh. Okay, I'm not sure what that's all about.
Free from thieves and wolves. Okay, well, someone started their crusade early and in the wrong room.
Yeah, we're Noble Drew, Ali. Noble Drew. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be Allah or Ali or
Ali.
Noble Drew Ali or whoever.
Yeah, Noble Drew Ali taught all mans and women's to claim their nationality and birthrights and human rights and justice system to be free from thieves and wolves.
Maybe they're making a reference to Apple and, you know, like saying that Apple's a thief.
You're reaching.
I'm reaching hard.
You're reaching. Don't stop. You're reaching.
Yeah.
Don't continue that. Don't do that.
I don't know. There is one thing that I was really surprised that Apple did during this event, though, and this is touching back on the iPhones. They're going dual SIM with these, and that surprised me just simply for the fact that, like, I honestly always saw Apple as staying with one SIM type of thing, sticking with a network, but at the same, or just going completely SIMless and sticking with an eSIM, which I think is still going to be their eventual goal. They just can't rule out the physical SIMs yet because not everywhere accepts physical SIMs, but accepts only eSIMs. So that being said, the way forward, have compatibility for both. This brings about the issue of dual SIM compatibility, because now you're going to have places that have, well, they can maybe have both. But then again, Apple's trying to go for all phones being unlocked now, so I mean that can kind of work, especially if you're running for two or more carriers, or if you like to travel between places and want the eSIM for one carrier and a physical for the other. It would have been nice if they had kept, well, they did it where it's two physical SIMs, like what they're doing in China, but apparently they don't want to do that for anywhere else but China. I'm not sure why. Other than that, though, like, overall, this event felt very, the title says it all. It felt like a very lackluster event. Like, there was no special one more thing. There was no features that we hadn't already heard about from the WWDC conference, which talked about the software. They were pretty much just rehashing all the features from that, saying, oh, look, these other things is inside the new phones, but they were already inside the phones, because even the old phones that have iOS 12 can essentially have these things. So it's like, big whoop. Like, what are you trying to force feed us here?
iPhone. Duh.
But
That's it.
I don't know. I felt disappointed with the event on almost a whole. Like, it didn't really seem worth the hour and some that I was watching it. What about you, Chris?
I was listening. I wasn't watching. But I wasn't mad when I had to leave and stop listening to it. I wasn't mad at all, actually.
Dwan, if you're there, please do let me know exactly how you thought. I know Vicky wasn't happy with it. If I remember correctly, inside the group, you weren't happy with it either. But yeah, essentially, I'm not really looking forward to this year's iPhone. Any of them. I'm looking more forward to their watch, and I'm not even gonna buy their watch. So that should tell you something. But anyway, that's it for this week's episode of Tech. Well, wow, that name is still stuck in my head. More Tech. And I'd like to thank my co-host Chris for managing to actually get his computer to work properly and join us.
I made it play nice.
Yes, he banged it with a hammer.
That's exactly what I did.
Again, folks, if you do like the show, feel free to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitch.
Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know exactly what it is.
That. And of course, if you want to be part of the community, feel free to join the Discord group or just keep being part of the chat. So until next time, which is going to be Esports Wrap on Tuesday next week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and More Tech, this show, is back next week Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. We will see you then. Take care.